everybody, this is Clarine at Inrini's room. Today I'm going to share this card with you. Of course it's for New Year's. This is called a star card. Probably because there's a big star in the middle. Anyway, this is kind of fun. It's not as involved as it looks. It goes together with a lot of scrap material, so it's a fun project. So what happens is you take off the front of your card, fold it up, and you slide it into an envelope. Then you can either give it to somebody or even drop it in the mail. And then you just slide the star part back into those little slots, and then you have your card. Cheers to a new year. Here's the back side, and then over on the far side is a place for writing sentiments. Okay, so let's get started. And what you're going to start with, here's a list of the measurements. You might want to jot those down. You're going to start with a base. I'm using black cardstock, and it's cut 5 by 10. Then we're going to score it in the middle to fold it in half. And then we'll be using glitter paper. It's actually more of a metallic rather than the lumpy glitter paper. Also a little bit of white, and then your pattern paper. And then I'll show you how to make the slots and little bit of chipboard in there. All right, so this is what we're going to do. You're going to start with a piece of cardstock that is 5 by 10. You're going to score it in the middle. And then just fold it in half. And that's all we need that for. Then we're going to lay it in your paper cutter. And there's a little, kind of hard to see the score line there, but there's a score line. You're going to cut from the score line down to the other corner. So you line it up. I use Fiskars, so they have this little metal wire that I just love. So I have that lined up. I'll cut that off. There's one side of your card. And then I'm going to come up here and cut off the other side. Same thing, just from the right down to the left. Just like that. We'll just set those to the side for a minute. And then we'll take the glitter paper, and you're going to be cutting one piece 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So this is just a scrap. I want to walk you through how to get it all assembled. I'm not going to have you watch me paste and glue everything, so I'll magically have the card half done in a little bit. Then we're going to cut this in diagonally, again from one corner to the other. Like that. Set it aside. Then we're going to cut also a piece of white paper that is the same size as your glitter paper, which is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. Cut it diagonally. I already pre-cut one, so that's right here. This is going to go on the back side for any kind of sentiment that you may want to put in there. And I like to use scrap paper for things like this, so this is just use the back side of something else. Okay, then we're going to cut your patterned paper. Now, you can use any kind of pattern paper you like, obviously. I like to make my own patterns, and I do that by cutting a template, making a template, bringing it into Photoshop, and then I can have any kind of pattern that I want. So we're going to do this twice. We're going to have 2 squares that are 3 1/2 by 3 1/2, that for my straight edge. And then we're going to cut that diagonally. Now, let me go ahead and cut this second one because I want to show you something. Just in case you use a paper that has a pattern to it, like an up and a down, maybe it has words on it or something like that. You go ahead and cut your 2 3.5 squares. Now this doesn't have any particular direction, but if it did, you would want to cut both of these. First, you would cut one on the left side down, because you're going to be, mounting these across from each other. So you would cut that one that way. Then you would take your second piece and you would cut it from the right side down to the other corner. And that way, if you have a pattern in there, you're going to be able to line everything up. In this case, I don't have a pattern, so easy. All right, so that's all the cutting that you have to do. The next step that I like to do is get rid of the white edges. So I'm going to take just a regular, this is a Kali Art group of pins. And keeping your, let's use the fat side, it has 2 edges. Using your pin with your correct pattern up, you just outline your edges. It takes away that white that you always get. Okay, so let's pretend like I just did those as well. We'll put them off to the side. Something else I want to tell you is when you're working with this metallic paper, it smudges really easily. So what I am going to suggest to you is that you work on a piece of plain paper, either colored or white, doesn't matter. The idea is that you want to keep this metallic as clean as possible because it gets smudges. And because of the smudges that it will get, we're going to attach all of our pieces that we have cut with score tape. So this is going to be layered like this. This is the inside of your card. There'll be one on each side. And then we'll put in the colored pattern piece. That's going to go right like that. And then there'll be one on this side. Then you bring in those 2 corners that you cut off in the beginning, and they're going to have metallic. And these are going to form your star. So I already glued mine down. So voila, magic. Here's what we have. This is the inside. These are those corners that we cut off. These are the first 2 that we cut off of your base. And this is the second part of that pattern paper, the 3.5. And I already mounted it on the foil. So now I'm going to put that on the inside. Don't forget to burnish all of your score tape. Really makes a difference when you try to get stuff to stick. If you decide to work with glitter, it's a little more forgiving, so you can do this with glue. When I'm all done, I'll show you a card that I made, and I used tacky glue. I didn't use the score tape. And I'm just going to center it in here, just like that. Press it down. Use your fingers, not a score tool because of the metallic. You don't want to mess it up. All right. So then on the back side is where you're going to put your sentiment. It doesn't matter which side you put it on. I like to do it over here. So I just stick it on here. Center it so that all the edges look pretty even. So there's the base to the card. Here's the back, here's the front. These are the two pieces that you cut that we are going to form a star with that's going to slide down in there. But first we're going to cut those notches. So you take a ruler, and on the edge down near the bottom, on the outer side, measure up 2 3/4. Then I put that in your basic instructions too. The slots are 2 1/4 inches up from this corner, and then they'll be cut a 1/2 inch deep, about 1/2 inch. So I'm going to put this up here at 2 3/4, like that. And I'm going to make a big dot here that I can see real well. You're going to cut right through it, so it's not going to matter. If you were using a white background, it might make a difference. But I would make a smaller dot, and then you'll be fine. And then we'll go up 2 3/4 right here. Okay. Then we're going to cut down from the top on that dot that you just made. And you're going to go down, figure about 1/2 inch, because you figure these are 1/4 inch, so you're going to go just to the other side of that gold. And you just cut straight down, like that. And then on this larger, longer side, just take a teeny tiny smidgen, just to give you a notch. See that notch? And then over here, you're going to also go down about 1/2 inch, just to the other side of that gold. And on this long side, teeny tiny smidgen, just to give you a little notch. Okay? Now we're going to set that over here for just a minute. And I'm going to show you how to put the card front together. This is going to form a star. So you see how I have these 2 end tips down on the bottom? That's going to form a star. To get what I think is a better looking star, I like to take this left corner and put it up about 11 o'clock if you had a clock back here. And then it gives it a little more character. You can tell that that's a star. You can go up pretty far, but it spreads it out down here. These two are the ones that are going to be just off the base when you put it together. So for me, 11 o'clock worked fine. So I'm just going to make them even, like that. There's a triangle, and these are about 1 inch. And then I'm going to set it down, hold it down, and just pry the top one up. And I'm going to zigzag some glue in here. About like that. Doesn't have to go out over the edges. And then I'll just bring it back down. Keep that up at 11 o'clock, I think. There we go. Just see how these are kind of even looking. Like that. There we go. And then I'm just going to hold that in place for just a little bit, just so that glue can catch on there. And then let's let that set for a minute, and I'll bring out the pieces that I'm going to decorate with. So, since this is for New Year's, I wanted to go glitzy, so I cut a bunch of gold stars. And I just used Sizzix steel cut die, and it cuts a lot of them out at the same time. So we're going to be decorating with stars, and here is the clock that I want to put up there. Just going to kind of look at the one that I made before. You, of course, can put this stuff any place you want it. So there's that. And then this is my sentiment that I'm going to be mounting in the middle. Now, you can put some of this on here before you stand it up. However, I found that it worked better if you just give it that time to dry and you slide it in here like that. And then it just holds it up. And the reason I think that worked better is because I like to have the front look nice, but I also like the back to look good. So I like to finish off the back side of the stars or any other elements that you may put on there, just because it'll look better sitting on someone's table. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put the clock on first. I'm going to attach it up here. I'm going to kind of let it, pop up the top, and you can go off the edge a little bit. Doesn't have to be exactly on this star thing for the front. And then I'm going to glue the back. There's not a whole lot of glue, just to keep it all in place. So put this back here. Looks like my notch. Don't put the clock upside down. Okay, here we go. Now, this is just photo paper that I cut my element out of. And since we have a few layers on the star itself, I'm going to put a little clothespin up here just to hold it in place so it'll dry flat. I don't want it to be spacey looking. So leave that there. And then I'm going to put my sentiment in the middle. Whenever I put a big sentiment on a package or a card, I like to attach it with glue dots, which I'm going to do, little pop-up dots. But I don't like it to sag, so I like to cut out a little piece of chipboard, a little bit smaller than your sentiment. Just put some glue on there to hold it in place. Set that down. Kind of pat it a little bit. And then we're going to use pop-ups. And we'll just put 3 across there. These are Stampin' Up! Pop-ups, which are kind of my favorite pop-up. They always stick. And I like to use my pokey tool to get them off of there. Okay, so decide if you want to tilt it, if you want to angle it, maybe you want to put it somewhere else, wherever you want to put it. That's why we're working with this already set up. I'm going to put this in the middle, kind of on a horizontal look to it. There we go. Then I'll press the pop-ups down. Okay. Now, when I got done with my first one, I thought, oh great, I wanted glitz and lots of gold, but it was almost too much gold. So what I did was I went ahead and toned down a couple of the bigger stars. And I did that by making 2 little black stars. This is out of regular glitter paper, not out of metallic. So I'm using glue to put that down, just on the bigger ones. See what I mean? It gets messy when you use metallic paper and glues. But this does dry clear. So on my other one here, and I'm just going to put them on the 2 that are in the front. And put a little less glue maybe. Maybe I got a little carried away there. Okay. We'll let that dry for a second. There we go. Yeah, that's better. It's really hard with metallic because it slides all over the place. So you just got to pay attention to it and keep pressing down so that everything gets glued down. But press rather than slide things around. There we go. All right, so we'll give that a couple minutes to dry. And I know I'm going to be putting these in the same place. I'm going to have one up here, and I'm going to offset that by having another one over to the side. So I'm going to put on a couple of these others, but I'm going to use pop-ups. And yeah, okay, so let's get a couple pop-ups on here. And the reason I'm using pop-ups is these are not going to be showing from the other side. So I'll just put them on there. Okay, there's one. And we'll stick one in here and kind of offset it behind the sentiment so it gives it a little character there. And we'll put one more over here. Now I also want to put something in the back side here. So let me take this off for a second. And I'm going to cut one of these stars in half. Oopsie, turn him over. And I'm just going to offset them here. Don't put them in the crease where that score line is because you want to be able to close it. But I'm going to put one in there. And one kind of across from it. Just so if you're looking down in the card, you can see a little bit of bling. And I'll bring this back under the middle. Yeah. And I think these are ready to be glued. So I'll put this one up here. And then the back side, I'm not putting a black on it. I'm just using a plain one. I just didn't want to have the brown on the back. I wanted it to be all gold. I'm going to take this guy off again and line that up. Press it down. Okay, well I got it down here. I'm going to go ahead and put that other star on. Anytime you can work on a flat surface, it's so much easier. And I'll put that right about in here. Not like that. I'll flip him over and put the back side on. See how much nicer it looks in the back? Oh, there we go. It's just the one corner, but I think it matters. All right, I'm going to take off my paper clips and put them back up here. And with that the little tiny black stars are doing is kind of breaking up some of that gold. I wanted lots of gold and glitter, but it was just too much. And then I've got one more star I'm going to stick down here. And then I'll leave everything else to you guys' imagination. When you make your cards, you can put your cards wherever you will. I mean your elements. I'll stick one down here. And there you have it. Ta-da! Your star card. Now as you'll notice, and there's the back side. Whoopsie. I know I'm going long, but I want to get in a couple more things for you. I went ahead and put another element down here. You can do that or not. Just remember, if you do, to be sure and put something on the back so that it looks good. This is something else I wanted to show you. This is a Christmas card, star card, made the exact same way, but since I used cardstock instead of metallic, a little more forgiving. So I actually put this one together with tacky glue. But that'll give you an idea of other things that you can do. And then I want to show you one more thing. This is an envelope, and I make them on the 1, 2, 3 punch board. This is by We Are Memory Keepers, and the good thing about this one is that when you make bigger cards like this, it has an extender, so you don't tear your card. So I made this envelope, which measures 7.5 by 5. And this is what my friend will get when I hand it to her. She'll go, oh my. Then she won't know what to do with it. So I drew up a little card assembly, and it tells her how to put the star part into the base. So I'm going to have that included in the card. And then she will know that all you do is open it up. And that darling print, Graphic 45's Christmas papers. And she'll follow the directions, and she'll slide these right into the slot. And there you have it. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Happy holidays, and enjoy your crafting.